Come along. Hey garden gals and guys, it's Steph with Tiny's Garden coming to you with a new video. The past couple weeks have been chaos, a couple family emergencies, getting sick, etc. Not going to dive into it because onward and upward from here. Thanks for your patience, and I'm happy to bring you this video, which is an update on where all of my seedlings are indoors. I am going to cover my ranunculus and anemones with the stuff that's going on outside in a separate video. So let's dive right in and let me show you my Lisianthus first. Oh, for those of you who are new here, I am Steph. I'm a home gardener in Zone 5B/6A in the Chicago suburbs. So here we have my Lisianthus, and I sowed this on February 17th, and then I potted these up. I'll put the date on the screen because I forget when I potted them up, but I did a video on that, and they are doing really well overall. They were struggling in their soil blocks this year, I think mainly because I didn't have the right potting soil medium, and now they're doing much better. This one is an example of needing water. So if I touch the soil, it's really dry. I don't want them to dry out more than this. The Lisianthus likes to dry out a little bit between waterings, not too terribly much. So I'm gonna bottom water these now. This one is holding its moisture a little more because you can tell there's some darker spots, and those cells are pretty, they're not wet, but there's some moisture in them. So I'm gonna water both of these now, but I'm happy to say I haven't really lost any. I've lost 6 in this tray, which is okay. As I was transplanting them, some of them were very small, and it was a little more difficult than last year because of the soil that I had originally planted them in, which was ocean forest, and it was very crumbly. So a couple of them I snapped the roots off of accidentally.
Okay, I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in, and it's been a disaster. I mean, I think I've fixed it, but these blocks are much harder to work with than yesterday, and it's been much more difficult to get them in easily without them breaking and or without the actual little Lisianthus seedling popping out.
But I'll still take that. And 6 in this tray I've lost, and maybe 1, 2, 3, let me count real quick. 9 out of 50. So 41. Not bad. I'll take that. I'll take that. Now I do prefer to bottom water these. I use a mister sometimes and come in on top if I feel like it doesn't need a big watering, like there's still some moisture, but it needs a little. I'll come in with something like this and spray over the top. But those roots are growing every day, and I want to make sure they're getting moisture from underneath. So I definitely bottom water these as the first resort. Now, because this tray is so dry, I will come in and do a little over the top as well on this one. Whoa, I think we might need more water. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. That'll work, that'll work. Now for your info, these seedlings are 6 weeks old. They were planted on the 17th, like I said before, and I went back and counted the weeks just so you can compare with yours. And this is what they're looking like at about 6 weeks old. Let's go up close so you can really see the size at 6 weeks. And here's the size of them in this tray. So still not huge, but they're definitely doing better than they were. Here's what they looked like 2 weeks ago on March 15th when I transplanted them up. I just let these soak in the water for maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then I take my tray out, and then I reuse the water because I've got several other trays of seedlings going. So I just pour back in to my pitcher, set this back in here, and then voila, you can see the change in color. You know this has much more moisture in it now, and that's what we want. Okay, now let's talk snapdragons. Dun, dun, dun. In the past, I've had terrific results with snapdragons, and this year they are on the struggle bus. So, this is my first tray planted on March 3rd, and these are Costa Apricot, Chantilly Light Pink, Chantilly Bronze, and Madame Butterfly cherry bronze. So bad. I mean, not so bad. It's not like I have a plate of no germination, but compared to last year, definitely not great. This last one, it's like hardly there at all. These 3 blocks, 1, 2, 3, SOS. These were planted in Coco Loco and wool pellets. This was the first tray I did with that mixture, and I don't know if I got the wool rounded enough, grinded. I put it in a food processor and tried to dissolve the clumps a little more, if that makes sense. And maybe it was still too clumpy because they are definitely drying out faster than things that I planted in Vermont Compost Company Fort B potting mix. And it gets worse before it gets better. Here's the next tray. This was also on 3-3, March 3rd, planted. These are all my Madames, besides the Madames that were just on the tray I showed you. Really, really sad looking. I mean, come on. There are some that are extremely tiny that are just now germinating, but I don't know, folks. I mean, I'm going to keep growing them on because I want all that I can get. And then when I go to thin them, I'm sorry, not thin. What is it called? Pinching. Pregnancy brain! Pinching them, dipping them in rooting hormone, and then doing another tray of them and letting the roots grow from the stem that I cut so that I can get more, because this is not what I expected. I will say these seedlings that are coming up look decent, nice and green, but some of them look flimsy too. Like a couple of them over here are kind of growing sideways and not real strong. But the good news is it gets better from here. So let's move on. Okay, these 2 trays I planted on March 10th. So a week later, it's my second succession of Snapdragons. And though it's not incredible, it's definitely better. Definitely better. We have Costa Mildly White, Costa Velvet, and Monaco Orange. Costa Velvet is looking like it's struggling the most, which would be right in here. So if yours are struggling as well, which I've heard this year, some people are really struggling with them. My seeds are from Johnny's. I had 1 floret packet. You're not alone. This one also on 310, definitely better. We have Costa Apricot, Potomac Apple Blossom, and Potomac Orange. Still not as good of germination as last year, but better. These are also done with Coco Loco and wool pellets. So maybe the second time around I did a better job with grinding them, because the first time around I almost burnt the house down. I didn't, but the machine started smoking. It was a thing. Anyways, we learned and we're moving on. I can deal with these trays. These first 2, I really wish were better, but that's my Snapdragon situation. These were started on 3-3. Those were started on 3-10. Today is April 1st. Let's move on to the trays that have better germination, shall we? Real quick before we move on to the other trays, watering for Snapdragons, because of the Coco Local and wool mix, I think the wool really soaks up the water faster. These for sure are drying out quicker. So I am watering every day, pouring some water in the tray, letting it soak up. And then for a tray like this, because it's a tin metal, for whatever reason, I'm noticing this soaks up the water even more. If I can still see some dry spots, I go in there and come on top with a misting. And then after it sits for a few minutes, like this has done, and it either soaks it all up, or if I come in again, like I just came in twice with these, then I just pour the remaining water off. Like so. So that's my watering routine for the snaps. Okay, my remaining trays, this is where we get happier because there's much more green. I mean, this is what I'm used to. This is how a lot of my soil blocks looked last year, including my Snapdragons, and this tray is glorious. So this is my Rudbeckia tray. We have Triloba Rudbeckia, which is new for me. this year, and that is the bigger one. It's much bigger than Sahara, Rudbeckia, and Chimchimney. So Chimchimney is the farthest, Sahara is in the middle, and then Triloba over here. And this is actually planted on 2/25, so February 25th, shortly after the Lisianthus, and that was just ocean forest potting mix. And these have not seemed to mind it at all. So if you want a low maintenance, great cut flower, beginner cut flower, pretty much any type of Rudbeckia will grow well for you. Oh, isn't it so pretty? I just watered them, so there's still some water coming up, but they've held on really well. Another one that I planted earlier on was on 2/25 as well. And this, I believe, was Ocean Forest 2 that has done okay in that potting mix, maybe because they prefer a little more well-draining soil, are my Iceland poppies, which are on the right over here, and then my different kind of pansies. All my different pansies, germination is spectacular. I already went through and thinned, so there's only one seedling per cell. Iceland poppies are tough. They don't always germinate great, but this I would consider decent germination. Not the best in the world, but not the worst either. So I'll still have some Iceland poppies. And these have done okay in here. And then we have these last two trays that I planted off camera, and Briggs, my son, actually planted the tomato parts of this with me, which I'm glad I did because these were planted on March 18th, which was a Monday. And then everything went crazy with our family on Wednesday through the next 2 weeks. So I will go through and tell you what each variety is on here because you weren't able to see it. But this was planted in Vermont Compost Company and soil blocked out. I had a little bit of wool pellets left, so I used some of those, but not as much as I used in the ones with Coco Loco. I am for sure seeing a difference in germination, for sure seeing a difference in moisture control. These stay moist longer. I think the last time I watered these was yesterday morning. It's now 8:22 the next night, and they were just starting to show some signs of really needing water. So you have a little more leverage there on timing with watering from what I'm experiencing with the Vermont Compost Company. Let's give you a real up close view though. Oh, and you can just tell when you come in and you touch the block. I check them in the morning. It's literally more wet than the other ones in the Coco Loco and the wool pellets. So sometimes I've even skipped doing bottom watering in the tray and just come in with my mister and do the top of these, and they hold till the next day.
They're bigger.
Yeah, your tomatoes are bigger. Okay, let's see if you can see these well here. Down here, we have iron cherry stock, cat's ruby stock, and that's these seedlings right here. And then in this block, you can see the stock seedlings are there, and then we start some black cherry dianthus right here, the subtle difference in those seedlings. Now, with this stock, you can go through and cull the stock and take out the ones that are likely to be single blooms instead of double blooms. Johnny's has a great resource guide. I will link below and throw up on the screen quickly to give you tips and tricks to cull them. So for example, when I'm coming in here to thin these, because they haven't been thinned yet, I want about one in each cell. I'm looking for any fused cotyledons, because fused cotyledons are usually indicative of a single bloom, and I would prefer to have double because they're much more full. Let me get you a good example here. So there were two in that cell. Oh my gosh. See this guy? That's an example of a fused cotyledon because it almost looks like a heart instead of two single cotyledons, whereas these here are not fused. There's just one cotyledon there, one cotyledon on the other side. So here we have another fused cotyledon. That's a single. Yes, this one right here. See how it's just completely separate? Nothing is fused together on each side. That is a double bloom. those are the ones that I am keeping and not thinning out. And then continuing, this block right here is also sweet black cherry dianthus. You can hardly see it, but the top row of that has nothing in it. I planted Fama White Scabiosa and Fire King Scabiosa from a packet from 2 years ago. None of them came up. So I have one row of nothing, but I was kind of expecting that. So use your Scabiosa seeds the year you get them. However, the good news is the next blocks here and here, I have apricot peach straw flower that's from 2022. The seed is from 2022 and it came up great. That's this block here and this block here. So I'm happy with that. Everything's growing beautifully here. Then what was really fun is Briggsy planted these tomatoes with me. What?
I am a genius.
You are a genius. We have 3 of each variety. I have indigo cherry drops, sun gold cherry, sunrise bumblebee, and that's all on this tray. Now, you can see I haven't thinned these out yet, which I was just talking to Briggs about. This tray I already thinned, and there's 1 seedling per cell. So these, I want to come in here and I'll simply snip any extras that are in the block, leaving 1 left. And usually I'll leave the one that's closest to the center of the block in there, or if I think there's one seedling that looks less great than the other. But we had spectacular germination. Those were all from Johnny's seed from this year. And they're growing beautifully. And these are in the 2-inch soil blocks because tomatoes get ginormous. And so they really need that space with more soil to grow. Varieties on this tray that have already been thinned: Heirloom Cherokee, Brandywine, and that's it on this one. So some bigger varieties here. I need to come in and fill up this tray with more 2-inch soil blocks, which I meant to do 2 weeks ago with Mahogany Splendor Hibiscus and some other bigger plants. Because 2-inch blocks, like I was just explaining, do better with a big root system. But our world went crazy again, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So this is the spread. You've seen everything. But I am so happy I got these trays done. And I do want to add some more. So today's April 1st. My last frost date is April 25th. This is my last week of work. I work part-time. And then I'm on pregnancy leave. So to wrap this up, that is where I'm at. That's all I have started. Definitely way behind from last year, but it's okay. I have zinnias coming. Haven't even checked my dahlia tubers yet. Wish me luck on that one. Some celosia I want to get planted. There's some other things I haven't written down, just when life permits. We roll with it though, don't we? We just roll with it. Let me quickly show you my grow shelf. The light's off right now because it's on a timer. It is on 16 hours a day, and I do have air circulation. So I'll just show you what that looks like, just so you get an idea of how I keep air flowing, because that's very important. Okay, this is the bamboo grow light that I keep upstairs, and it is from Gardener's Supply. And I love it. It is expensive, but if it's in a place that is in a high traffic area and you want it to kind of look a little nicer, it's great. You can see my temperature. This is a Govee one. That is great. It's Bluetooth. I just got this. I'll add that to my Amazon store. This is a timer I just got off of Amazon. That is in my Amazon store. This is a Beskar fan that I just got on Amazon, I think. I think it's actually for a stroller, but I just attach it there to my grow light and it works well. Lizzie's especially need that nice ventilation because they like to dry out a little bit between waterings. Second row down here, my Snapdragons. And then on the bottom is everything else. These 2 trays that I planted most recently with the tomatoes, straw flower, and stock were definitely on a heat mat Tomatoes like to germinate around 75 degrees. Since then, I have taken them off when over half germinated. And then here is my oscillating fan that I have right in front of the grow shelf for the second and third levels because I don't have any attached to the side. And so that is it for today. That's everything that is growing indoors. And overall, with all the bumps we've had in the road this year, I will take it. And I will get the other seedlings I need to get planted as soon as possible. Definitely the year of giving myself grace, and I hope you're giving yourself grace too if something is not going exactly as planned. But I hope that helps just for you to see where everything is, what I have going here, and kind of my grow light setup upstairs. I will say the lights that come with this, you don't have to move lower or higher because they're intense enough. It can just stay in the same spot all the time without having to lower. So that's another reason why they're expensive. But it matches all my trim in here, and it was worth it for me for something that's so visible in my house. And coming up, have my ranunculus and anemones survived, or have they all died? I will show you what's going on outside in the greenhouse as well as my tulips. Did my tulips grow for cut flowers? Or not. Stay tuned, that's coming up very quick. Thanks for your patience and for being here. I hope you're having a great day. Remember to comment below and let me know how your seedlings are doing, what's going really well, what's not going well, etc. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel to follow along with all things garden. We'll see you in the next one, everybody. Happy planting. Bye.